Well, hello there, and welcome to Living a Life Decided. I'm Kim Martin. I'm the host of your show and the founder of I've Decided, which is a personal development organization, and we help people achieve their goals and dreams, whatever it is that God is calling them to do. And I am so excited today. I have one of my favorite people here with me, Michelle King. And Michelle is special to me because, for one, you're an amazing success story. You're just an awesome person, and you've been a member of I've Decided as a part of our community for at least 7 years now.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, the success stories, her journey over the last 7 years has just been incredible. When she first started, she goes, I want to help people. I'm a nurse. I see what is happening in the industry, and I want to help people stay well. I want to start a nutrition program. I want to be a coach, and so on. And guess what? Not only has she done that, but she's also written a book, which is interesting. The title of this book is called Creepy: The Unveiling of a Narcissist. Now, I would have thought you would have started with a nutritional book or a health and wellness, because that's kind of your background and what you do. But there's a story behind all of this.
It is.
So I'm going to give the floor to you a little bit, Michelle, and just tell us, let the audience know who Michelle King is, your journey over the last 7 years, what you're doing, how you're helping people, and how you are walking the walk. You stuck the stake in the ground, living a life decided. What does that look like for you?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you for being here today, Kim. We talked about me coming and doing, a podcast a couple years ago, but I said I wasn't ready, and guess what? I wasn't. I'm ready today, though. I'm here and I'm excited, and I just thank you for the opportunity.
Of course.
So again, Michelle King. I've been working in healthcare for over 35 years. Currently a registered nurse. Started out as a nurse assistant in 1991.
Wow.
So when I started, you didn't have to be certified. You could just jump in and just get your hands dirty and start taking care of the patients.
Oh, wow.
But around about 1992 is when they required you to become certified, and that's what I did. And I've been in the trenches since, you know, and I'm honored to be used by God to help care for His people.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So you've always been someone who's taken it to the next level. So you started as a nurse and assistant, and then I can see, knowing you how I know you were like, oh, well, I just need to go ahead and go to school and become a nurse.
Sure.
Registered nurse.
Yes.
Could be more successful to a certain degree, make more money for sure.
And gain more knowledge, as you move up in your educational background when it comes to nursing, you just gain more knowledge so that you can take and use that to help your people, help the peoples. But now, today, after being in healthcare for all of those years, I also see a side where it's fragmented and broken, and we tend to fall through the cracks. And so I'm that girl that wants to get out into the community. I love the community, and began to be that voice and that advocate for the people outside the walls of healthcare.
And educate people on
Most
what's
definitely.
available to them.
Most definitely.
Well, give us the background. How did you become so passionate about helping people and being an advocate and wanting to educate the community about what's available, what they can do for themselves?
Being at the bedside, caring for people that are sick and have comorbidities, which is disease processes. And so it just really kind of hurts my heart to see people so sick, and it's as if you're not able to do enough, just kind of sustaining life in that bed. But my desire was to see people get better and go home and continue on with their lives. So the light bulb came on, and it's like, well, then I need to take what I have learned outside the walls. Not that those people are not important. They are.
Yeah.
Everybody has their place. That's just not my place. My passion is health and wellness, and I wanted to take it outside the walls of healthcare to be proactive.
Yes.
In regards to your health and
so
wellness.
You want to keep them from being in the bed.
Exactly. And if all possible, and myself,
Well, so there's a little bit of this journey that has to do with your own personal health experience.
Yes.
Can you share some of that?
I sure can. So I have been a patient. I typically don't, get sick, especially after working around people that are sick all the time, just being around the germs
You
and
have
stuff.
a
You
good
build this
immunity,
good
yeah.
immune system. But then I did, I did get sick and ended up in my own hospital bed. And it just makes you think about things a little closer, because it's like, this is not the place that I should be in. This is not for me. I love to be well. I love, nutrition and just, exercising and attempting to care for myself. So that's when I said, hey, you know what? No, this is not for me. I got to take this a little further, really a lot further. When I had my own experiences of being in my sick bed and not being heard.
Yes, I remember now.
Not being heard.
You're a nurse. You kind of knew what was going on with your body, but you had an experience where they weren't listening to you, and
Yes.
they were trying to diagnose you and medicate you really not properly.
Yeah, well, first of all, just not listening to the patient. So day one, they're not listening, and you discuss what you think is going on in your own body, and then 5 weeks later to the date, you get that same diagnosis that you discussed with the physician, the hospitalist that is at your bedside, but they didn't listen to you. So by the time 5 weeks later, I could have had a heart attack or anything, and it pained me to know that they didn't listen. I could have avoided 6 weeks off of work. Now I had to go on, short-term disability, and that could have been avoided had they just listened day one.
Yeah.
So I'm big on advocating. I'm big
Yeah.
on, people knowing that they should be advocating for themselves. You have a voice, and it is okay to speak up. It is okay to ask your doctor questions.
Preach, girl.
It is okay.
And nobody knows yourself like you know yourself.
That's the main.
100%.
Yes.
And so while you're weren't just guessing, you have an educated thought process because you've seen this before. So you knew your symptoms.
Most definitely. I had a history of hyperthyroidism. So it's not like I didn't have labs. It's not like I didn't have a primary physician that we followed up, with my labs, however often we needed to. I had an ultrasound of my thyroid that was documented in Epic, in the system. And I still was not heard, nor was I referred to my endocrinologist that I had that helped me to deal with any of my thyroid symptoms.
That's amazing. Is that what catapulted you into really going all in on your soulful nutrition and wellness? And also, I know you've been working out, you've lost a ton of weight. Tell us about that journey as well.
Well, yes. So yes, it did. That was the icing on the cake. I need to not only do this for myself and my family, but all the people outside of my home that deserve to be well, or at least have the resources and the voice to speak up for themselves. I had a doctor tell me, well, most aren't like you. They'll just take the medicine. They don't ask any questions because they don't know that they can ask questions. There's a such thing as white coat syndrome. People shrink.
Oh, yes.
When it's time to go to the doctor's office. I'm that person that would shrink when it was time to go to the doctor's office. You got your commercials, on television. If you take these meds, this is the list of side effects you may have, but take it anyway. So then you're afraid to take the medications because you do not want the possible side effects, because you also need to be functioning every day so you can take care of your home, go to work, and whatever else it is that you do on a daily basis. So going back to exercising and working out, that's something that I have loved since a child. I have always been one that carried a little extra weight, so I always felt a need to make sure that I'm working out, but I always wanted to be athletic. I have always wanted to be an athlete. So at the age of 55, I'm still working on being an athlete, but I also enjoy working out and what it does for you. I've come away from exercising for weight loss because that's the picture that was painted all of my life.
Oh, yes.
Barbie. Okay. And so we're all looking to have this image like Barbie,
right?
When you're supposed to be who it is that God has for you to be in the body that He gave you.
Yes.
So exercise.
We need to be the exercise helps us be the best we can be.
Yes. Yes. And if you can lose a few pounds with it, then so be it.
Yeah. But you and I both know that you cannot exercise a bad diet.
You cannot. Really. Exactly. You can't.
Exercise. You need to exercise to be healthy. But if we need to lose weight, there's a whole nutrition side that goes.
And there is. And I think it's said 80-20, 80%
maybe.
Healthy.
Yeah, that's a good rule of thumb.
Exactly. But I think it's also an individual thing as well.
I agree.
Yeah.
I 100%.
So yeah, I just love health and wellness. It is what keeps me going, every day when you do implement exercise into your wellness.
Yes.
That's what wellness is all about. Soulful nutrition and wellness. Nutrition is not just what you eat, but what you drink, who you allow around you in your personal space. Do you have boundaries? Do you have enough boundaries in place? What do you watch on television?
What are you listening to?
What are you listening to? How much time are you spending on social media? So it's all of it.
What are you consuming?
Yes.
In every way.
Yes. Exactly.
I love it. It's your consumption.
Exactly.
And it all matters.
It does.
It's all important, really.
Yes.
It truly does.
Yes. Yes.
And let me tell you, this girl makes some mean turnip greens.
Yes.
Collards.
Collards. Get it right. Get it right.
Collards.
Collards. I'm passionate about the collard leaf.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you've got dreams about that and your
yes,
cooking
definitely.
And your food prepping and all the things that you do.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. I would love to offer it and will, prayerfully one day, my collard greens, so that all who love collard greens can partake of them in the grocery store.
I love collard greens, and especially yours.
Thank you.
And also potato salad.
Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty good with that too. Yes. I'm pretty good with the sides,
Actually, I think you're just a pretty good cook in general, but yeah.
Thank you.
But you've got some great ideas for the collard greens. So stay tuned for that. We might have to do another podcast down the road when things start hopping and popping, as you say.
Yeah.
with that.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's awesome. So soulful nutrition and wellness, well on your way. Even looking at potentially getting yourself a little space, talking about that.
Yes,
so that's in the works.
Yes, ma'am.
And you really just said, you know what, I'm going to do this.
Yes.
And we've talked through it over the years, and you've put yourself out there and met with different coaches, not just me, but different coaches, and invested in yourself, your growth, and you're just doing it. And all along working full time as a registered nurse, I might add.
Yes.
So not giving up your full-time career, at least not yet, but you can do it. You're following your dreams, living out your purpose alongside living your purpose as a nurse as it stands right now. And I say, as it stands right now, it's your purpose because God hasn't closed that door yet.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, as you were saying, just the purpose piece of it, I feel like me being in healthcare and being a nurse, that is a part of the purpose, but then it's bigger than that. It extends outside the walls of healthcare. So to be able to take all the knowledge, all of my testimony and things that I've been through, and pour that into society and say, you're not alone. I understand what you're going through. You have questions. It's okay to ask those questions. If you don't ask the questions, how will you get the answers? So I just want to advocate for people and let them know it's time out for being lackadaisical about your own wellness, your own care.
Yes.
No one can do it but you. You have sick parents at home. We end up taking care of our parents in the end, a lot of times. And
so we're their advocate. That's
it. And so, but you got to take care of yourself in order to take care of them. And, they rightfully deserve to be cared for as well, and properly. So, yeah, I mean, it's never ending. We need to rise up in the communities and begin to care for one another, love one another as God would want us to. God is love, and we should be love as well.
I love it. Well, let's switch gears a little bit because now you are also Michelle King, author.
Yes, ma'am.
And you've written this book called Creepy. At first, I'm like, ooh, that is creepy. And your picture is really creepy.
Yeah.
The Unveiling of a Narcissist.
Can I show that to the people?
Oh, yes, please do. Hold it up and show them.
Yep. So the book, Creepy, The Unveiling of a Narcissist. And then I also created a self-love reflection journal to go along with it for some good, healthy, cathartic writing.
Yes. Now, share about it. Share away. Tell us where this came from.
Yeah, so I was listening to a pastor on YouTube that would talk about just overall health for women and his stance on what it looks like to care for yourself as a woman. So he speak RC Blakes is his name, Pastor RC Blakes, and so he would talk about narcissism a little bit and had written something himself, but it was already like within my spirit to say, I want to write on that. And then after listening to him, I encountered a brief stint in regards to this type of situationship because we're always looking for love outside of ourselves. We have not been taught that we are enough. We're always looking for love and acceptance outside of ourselves. So now you've run into what you would suggest as a narcissist. The energy that emits from these individuals is different. We'll just say different, dark, different. And I'm like, nah, I have to write about this. I always wanted to be a writer. I published my first little writing, little piece in fourth grade in grade school, and they placed it in the library, but I forgot all about it. But I have always loved words, word usage. English was never good in where to place the comma, but I just loved the structuring of sentences and things like that. And so I knew with this encounter that this was my time to write about narcissism because there are so many people that are subjected to this type of pain. It's very painful.
Yes, when you're experiencing a true narcissist.
Yes.
Now, we've had plenty of conversations around this, and one thing we talk about is every human being has some
narcissistic traits, of
because
course.
We're selfish by nature, we're
Yes.
sinful by nature,
Yes.
and so there's not, you could listen to some of the traits of a narcissistic person, you're like, oh, maybe that could be me, and you have to be careful because we all have a minimal tendencies of some sort.
Yes.
But these are extreme behaviors.
And do know it needs and should be diagnosed by someone that's a psychologist or psychotherapist. But no one can tell you that you did not experience what you experienced. And this is where the book comes in.
Yes.
Because
that is one of the number one things of a narcissist. They try to convince you that what you saw with your own two eyes didn't actually happen, or what you heard with your own two. It is creepy.
Yeah, it is creepy, and that's how, and that's where the the title of the book came from, because it is creepy, and anyone that has been subjected to this thing, they know that would be the correct term, is to call it creepy.
Yeah.
But what was crazy, I won't say crazy, but pretty awesome. Let's say pretty awesome is one of my favorite scriptures is 2 Timothy 3:1-17. And so it speaks about they creep into gullible women's homes who are loaded down with sin. So it aligned with the scripture. And that scripture is in the book.
Yes.
So good stuff. The book is not for the narcissist or the narcissist to gain attention. Well, I guess it would be, so then you'd know what you're dealing with. But it is for the one that has endured this sort of pain and lovelessness.
Yes.
The book is
because it does. You do leave feeling like something is wrong with you.
Guess what? And guess what? It is. You are not your authentic self, because if you were in an authentic place, you would have never gave the narcissist the time of day.
Right.
So that's what this book is all about, guys.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's also, I don't know, I hope I don't butcher this.
No.
But when we see when we recognize who we are, meaning that we get our love, our confidence, and everything comes from our Creator, right?
Yes.
We're not seeking love outside of the love because we already know how much we're loved. We don't need any other love. We are loved perfectly by God through Jesus. We are His child, loved perfectly. And so I looked at it. I heard the analogy put like this. Imagine in you have a glass, okay? And if you are seeking love, you're empty. Like that glass is like a glass that's empty. You're not filled up on who you are as God's child, a beloved, person. And your confidence isn't coming from who you were created to be. So it's like an empty glass. But if you're in prayer and reading the word and you know who God is and how much he loves you, then that glass is like filled to the brim with water. So now when you go out in the world, you're already filled up. So you can clearly see what's right for you. And so then when you meet maybe a person who is your partner that God brought into your life, instead of seeking them to fill up your cup is already full. Now it's just overflowing.
Exactly.
And it's kind of like that.
And
it just gives me like a good visual.
It is just like that. There is a scripture where it speaks about, you get set free, you get healed, you're all swept clean, you got rid of all the garbage and the cobwebs, and you don't fill yourself up with the things of God.
Yes.
So then you're empty. And so that thing that left comes back. And sees that you're not filled up, because the narcissist will come back. They shelve you and they come back.
Yes.
Because they're always looking for new supply.
Yes.
So that spirit wants to come back.
Yes. And
to its home.
To its home.
And bring 7 more even stronger than what it was. So again,
you gotta feel. Yes, I love it.
Layers to this thing.
It is so layered.
Yes.
And
I grew up in the scriptures. I grew up in the church. It's not like I didn't know, but there was still something missing, because we are always attempting to follow the templates that society has set for us versus following what God says in the word.
For me, it was a relationship.
It is.
And, it's totally different. And, Joe and I we've both been married before. And so we're a blended family, but things are just, it's so different for me now.
Yes.
Because, I'm healed, and, unfortunately and sadly, I didn't have a relationship with the Lord. I believed. We went to church.
Yes.
I mean, I believed. I knew God existed, but I didn't give my life to Jesus. I didn't fill up on his goodness and who I am. So I was seeking my fullness, from another person. And when we put that kind of pressure on another human being, well, first and foremost, whether they're a narcissist or not,
that's right,
they can never sustain that kind of standard.
Yeah, that's why God's a jealous God.
Yeah, what other human being can just fill you up all the time? No person can do that, because human beings are disappointment. We disappoint people.
And
we are
the scriptures.
We are sinful. We are selfish. We aren't going to be. It's impossible for us to be perfect. So,
but we can be pleasing to God.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
And in order to do that is allow yourself to be healed.
Yes.
And we're not doing that. We are living according to how society has set up. So you're born into a religion. You're born into if your family went to, if your dad went to school to become a physician, they want you to become a physician. We were just talking about this. Let people be. Let people be, as long as there are morals in place and you know how to adhere to morals and standards of society. Let people become who God has for them to become. Else you're going to go and seek acceptance outside of yourself. It doesn't matter if it's marriage, it's on your job. You're working 1,000 hours a week and you're about to kill yourself because you're not fulfilled within. Yes. I'm not working myself like that. I don't have to. God will make the way for me. Yes. And he does every day.
Favor. We were talking about that. Oh, we could just do 20,000
Yes.
We have so much to talk about.
Yes. Most because life is life.
We're bringing church to
life is life. Yes.
Living a Life Decided podcast today. Yes. And so that's good, though. I want that, and that's what I want to do this podcast for. That's why I wanted you here today, because we're just trying to help people. We want to encourage you. We want to show you everyday ordinary people. I'm an everyday ordinary person. Michelle, everyday ordinary person. And we're saying, you know what? God is calling us to a higher level. Whatever that looks like, whether it's opening your own business, becoming a coach, speaker, writing a book, finishing school, leveling up at your career, changing careers, moving, buying a home. I mean, the list could go on and on and on, but we all have something bubbling inside of us.
We do. And God wants you to utilize your gifts and talents. So again, one of my favorite scriptures, there's three, well, just in my terms, there's three fellas.
Yeah.
The first one, he took his talents and he sowed into them. The second one took his talents and sowed into them. And they were sold as an SOWED, so, and it flourished. But that third one buried his talents and then was casted into outer darkness. Hello.
Right.
So it is important that we utilize the gifts and the talents and the passions that God gives us, and he will direct the path.
Absolutely. And that is so awesome.
And it's not easy.
And of course not.
It's not easy, but it's right.
That's not what I'm like. The right way is never the easy way. I'm like, Lord, is that is it because we just are so stubborn and hard at heart that we're just not paying attention, or do you just want it to be a little bit hard for us so that you can mold and soften our hearts and know that
part there.
Yeah, I think it's that part there for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
But sometimes I'm like, oh Lord, why's it got to be so hard?
Yes.
The right way is usually the hard way.
But it is okay.
So that's the goal. We want you to stick the stake in the ground on your goals and dreams, whatever that might be. And by hearing success stories, by seeing Michelle and what she's doing in her own world, you can do it too. And, we'd love to help you. So we'd love for you to become a part of I've Decided. You can visit us on our website and join our community so that you can take the first step into achieving your goals. I want to ask you, I do love to ask this question, and it's because everybody has kind of a different little take on it. But when you think of living a life decided, what does that kind of mean to you when you think, I'm living with intention. I'm living with this decided mindset of what I want to do.
Being here with you today, I talked with God about this at the age of 9. I'm 55 and a half. I don't mind sharing my age. It's all good. And I told God one day I wanted to be able to speak to the peoples, but I didn't need my name in lights. And this was in the 70s. And me and God talked about this. So I'm doing it right now by meeting you and you encouraging me when I was, I had just left the suburbs of Chicago and moved back to Peoria because I told God years ago, if you ever needed me to do any work here, I'm willing to come back. And here I am, and I met you, and you encouraged me at one of the saddest moments of my life from, leaving a marriage that was no good for me, and it just didn't make it. And oh my gosh, I remember coming in and talking with you, and I still needed to be divorced. And then COVID happened, and I had all these ideas. And 7 years later, it's like that never happened.
That's something.
It's like it never happened, meaning I overcame it. And
yes.
Here I am and ready and willing to continue to help God's people. So I just thank you for what you're doing. It would be awesome if you would become members. And I'm not just saying that. I mean, whether you show up to a meeting or not, it is available. All the different things that you're doing with the community network and learning, you give so much back, and there's so many different resources just here with I've Decided.
Oh,
so yeah, awesome.
I didn't pay her to say that.
No, you didn't, and curves as well.
But it's success. It's success.
Yes.
And also, if you are wanting to reach out to Michelle, if you want to talk to her about her book, get copies of her book. Mm-hmm. Talk to her about her coaching and how she can encourage you. What's the best way for them to reach you, Michelle?
Well, it's Michelle King on Facebook. I'm also Soulful Nutrition and Wellness, Mind, Body, Spirit on Facebook, and then all my other social media sites. So I am now on YouTube. I've began dropping some, videos on my YouTube channel. So you can see me there. I have a store, soulful-store.com, where you can get the book as an ebook. And there are coffee mugs with Soulful Mind, Body, Spirit. And then the book is available on Amazon.
Isn't that cool?
It is on Amazon, the book and the journal. Yeah, so God is moving. It is great. And I'm willing to be moved by God.
Thank you. That's awesome. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for joining me. Thank you guys for tuning in. It's time. Stick that stake in the ground. Go all in on what it is you're supposed to be doing. Join us. Learn how to live a life decided. and really, it's not easy, but it's doable. And if you have the right community, you can do it. So thank you, Michelle, for tuning in, joining me today. I always love it. You got to come back again. I think we could have I could have a podcast with you every week. I think we could never run out of things to say.
Yes.
Anyway, so all right, you guys, thanks so much, and we will see you next time.